Donkey Kong Bonanza. Listen, man, people, not just critics, people are going bonanza. They're going ape shit for Donkey Kong Bonanza. There's been, oh, damn, Nick with no K is going off the wall.
Gotta go bonanza.
Jungle beat. He's going bonanza. Anyways, excuse me. People are going nuts over this game. There has been some preview events where people have gotten to go hands-on. I forget how many hours it was, like 4. Am I right? Like 4 to 6 hours, 3 to 6 hours. People got to play. And I've heard nothing but positive stuff personally. Online, everyone seems to love it. It is even post that fantastic direct, subverting expectations on what the next Donkey Kong could be. So the question for you guys is, where do we currently stand on that Mad Monkey DK? And does this excite us? Secondly, are we concerned about, the plumber in the room, Mario? Are we worried? We now know that the Odyssey team's been working on this game. Does that concern us about when we may be seeing Mario's next big 3D outing on Switch 2? Let's start with our guest, Nick with no K.
Well, I'd like to start by saying currently can't stand on Donkey Kong because I don't have it yet.
Sure.
But if I did and I were to think about where I'd stand on it, I will say I was not 100% sold on this game until I watched the direct. That was like what sold me entirely. I was like, I went from such a hard, like, it's whatever, I'll just keep playing Switch 1 games, till I watched that direct. I was like, all right, where we pre-ordering it? Like, I'm going to be there day one. So I think just seeing more people get excited about it makes me more excited, but I'm also trying to like actively avoid some of it because I don't want to be told too much. And I know they dropped, I think, like a 8-minute overview trailer or something today. And like, I don't want to see that because I feel like I was shown sufficiently enough in the direct to be like, okay, I can justify that. So I'm excited. I'll be there day one. As for 3D Mario, I really don't think it's that far away. Like, I'm not saying that game development is easy, but I'm also saying, what have they been working on for 8 years? Like, you can't tell me that Donkey Kong took 8 years and that wasn't like, I don't know. I think it could still, I think a lot of people are very quick to doom post on that and say, well, it's not coming because this is what they were doing, as if this is not like a big enough development team that they could have split it or finished Donkey Kong. And because, I mean, we heard rumors about this like 2D, 3D Donkey Kong game like 2-3 years ago, which meant it would have had to be far enough along that someone would have known. So I don't know. I think Mario's fine. I wouldn't be shocked if they pulled out 3D Mario at the September Direct or next year. They're like, bam, there it is. And then they disappear for another 8 years, drop 2 bangers, and then they're like, all right, I'm out. And then we don't see him again till Switch 3. I don't know.
Listen, man. First off, I'm right there with you as far as like hype level goes. Thunderstash got to go to the Switch 2 event, and I was prying for information about DK because I'm like, it's got to be more. Like, is it like, it looks good, but is there more than just destructible environments? That was a huge concern for me, because if the basis of the game is destructible environments, and that's pretty much the big draw, I see myself loving it for like 2 weekends and then being like, I'm kind of over it. That direct changed everything, got me super hyped. And I agree with you, man. Like, I don't want to overwatch stuff on this game. I know we have more than the 3 transformations that we saw. I want some of those to be a surprise to me. I think it's 5 or 6 total that it looks like. I love those surprising moments in games when you have that moment like, oh snap, like this is so cool. So I feel you with that. I also agree with you. Like, I don't think Mario's that far off. But before I dive too much into my thoughts, let's go with Eric.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this one? Impressions, the Mario team stuff. Where you landing on all this stuff?
I mean, I was, pretty hyped. I like Donkey Kong. as a character
Sure.
in and of itself. So I was probably 75% gonna buy it before the direct, and then I pre-ordered it after the direct. It was sold on that one. It looked like it gave me some feels of Banjo-Kazooie, things like that.
Mhm.
So this game looks like it could be a whole lot of fun. As for like the Mario stuff, I'm not too concerned about it. It feels like some of these things that they put into Donkey Kong, like some of the surfing stuff and things like that. It feels like they pulled from other games and kind of just reskinned it and made it Donkey Kong flavored. So that probably helped speed up some of the dev of it and things like that. And I'm sure it wasn't the full, Mario team working on it, and they may have pulled from other teams and things like that. They had the main core of the people working on it were the Mario team, but they probably didn't have the full team working on it, would be my guess. So I'm guessing that we're probably not too far off from Mario.
Cool.
I want to
agree.
interject this real quick because I was thinking about it. As frustrated as I am that there's been no direct, no announcements, no nothing. Like we know Metroid is coming at some point. We know Hyrule Warriors is coming. Like we know all those games are coming, but we don't have a date. And there's part of me, because this is part of my motivation for buying Donkey Kong, is there's nothing else on the calendar for me to say, oh, I'm going to buy Hyrule Warriors in October or November. Like, so there's a part of me that wonders if they're holding announcements just a little bit to get people to buy it and kind of like almost force you in a way, because you have this brand new Switch 2. You're like, well, what am I going to play? I don't have dates for anything else, but we got Donkey Kong, and that hot off the heels of Mario Kart, looking for something new. About a month after Mario Kart, and you fresh it up a little bit, and then you got Donkey Kong. And then right after Donkey Kong, then that's when they hit you with the Metroid Prime, Hyrule Warriors, Final Fantasy,
Absolutely.
like all the, and then you just feel
and
left
the big
out 'cause
holiday
your
game.
wallet's empty. So,
and the big holiday game. We have no holiday game for this year.
that's true.
Currently.
I mean,
Yeah. So
look,
I think stuff's coming.
if we listen to Joey Pitts, he's about to have a holiday. My hype level is high, but my wife is non-existent. I guess I shouldn't tell her that if she eats my banana, she gets banana energy.
Dude.
Banana energy. I'm just saying, he's having holiday early. Anyway, thank you for that. Sorry, go on. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just trying to get some of these DK super chats in.
Well, that was it. I was just like, man,
Okay.
Nintendo, they're holding back, which is frustrating because I'm starting to get a little impatient here. Like, I would love to know when I could play Final Fantasy. I would love to know when I could play Metroid Prime 4. I would love to know when I could play a new Hyrule Warriors game. That would be great. I'm just getting impatient. I'm a little antsy, that's all.
Fair enough. But let's I feel a storm brewing right now. Thunderstorm, that is. Let's go over to the Stash Man.
That's right. I was supposed to get that sound effect. I gotta get
That's
that.
good.
I know, dude. Get on top of it. Doesn't matter. With this
Okay.
place.
Message me and remind me to get like a thunder crack, lightning storm or something for Stash.
That'd be
All
cool.
right.
I'd like that a lot. Similar to Game Birds.
Yeah, I have the
Third
sound put for it. I just got to get it clipped. But Joycey found the sound for me.
Thanks, man. That'd really hype me up.
Yeah.
Okay, so as far as DK, right? Let me just first say this, that when I posted, my video from the Switch 2 experience, and a lot of people talking shit. A lot. I don't let it get to me, but I do remember. A lot of shorts that went out to, all social media. A lot of people talking trash on the game. A lot of people. I said in my video, you guys can go back and look. This is the Super Mario Odyssey team. Everyone's like, you're wrong. They never said that. That's a lie. I'm like, I know they didn't say it, but I know. I said Koji Kondo's doing the music. I bet you anything that gets announced soon too. Point is that the moment I played this game, freaking amazing. People were complaining about the frame rate. Oh, it looks like there's a frame hiccup there when you're digging through, the earth. It's like, get the fuck out of here, man.
So stupid. So
Yeah,
stupid.
get out of here, bro. Everything's fine. Everything's literally fine, right? And it was just interesting how like so many people like collectively wanted to crap on DK. It was just odd. And obviously I was really happy with the direct because I was like, okay, this direct blew it out of the water. Now everyone's probably going to get on the same page with me and stop talking crap and leaving crappy comments on my DK video. Probably going to be like, all right, yeah, it's actually going to be good. So
was that a thing?
Yes.
Oh, dude, you didn't read the comments on his DK video?
No.
Oh, dude.
It was bad.
It was bad. It wasn't as bad as Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk takes the cake
God.
by far. That brought in a very toxic community. That was very interesting. Yeah, I had to be very choice with my words when I was replying. But felt like I was back, in corporate, replying to these real carefully. Yeah. So look, I love DK. It was very clearly inspired, by the Galaxy team, and that's great. Or not Galaxy, Odyssey. It's great because Odyssey is an amazing game. I feel like Nintendo's been pulling from their major IPs, like gameplay elements that work well, and have been finding a way to insert them into the next IP, which I think is really cool. And I think we're going to see that with DK. Where do I stand with it currently? I pre-ordered it as soon as it went up at Best Buy. The night we pre-ordered everything after the podcast, I pre-ordered it that night because that's when they finally allowed me to. So am I excited by this? That it's the Mario team. I am very excited. Just because, it's quality. It's quality you can count on, right? Simple as that. And are we concerned that this means 3D Mario may not arrive for years? Man, let me tell you what. I've been seeing, dude, I've been seeing that narrative thrown out there. I'm just like, man, this is complete horseshit. Get out of here. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. It's years away. That's a crock of shit, as they used to say. Total crock of shit. Come on, man. There's no way. Yeah. So that's where I'm at with that. I think people are just creating narratives to get clicks with that. Honestly, like you really just think we're not just going to get a Mario? Think they're just going to wait?
No,
it's just going to be a decade. We're going to wait a decade. You get it in a couple of years. I've seen that narrative already. People are like, oh, it could be 3, 4, 5 years away. It's like, are you on crack? For real? Like, are you on crack?
Like a Prime on crack
serious.
in his little corner right now.
I read
Prime's
that. I'm like, what kind of brain rot is going on here? Like, how do you say that? Like, logically speaking, I just thought it was crazy. And I'm like, this is just bullshit for clicks. That's where I'm at. So, what do you guys think?
Well, Prime is up. I feel like Prime's about to.
So look, here's the funny thing about this show. I'm obviously the villain of the show. I have been noticing week after week after week, somebody has to be the devil's advocate. It just happens to be me. Everyone agrees. And then someone's got to present the other side. Because if no one presents the other side, then it's just all of us nodding our heads. So look, let me make the argument that 3D Mario is at least 2 years away, if not further. Because obviously I've been saying for a long time that even this game coming out, Mario's next year. The studio that made this game is EPD8. We know this now. They said it out loud. They told literally everyone who went to play the game. The Mario Odyssey team made this game. Not Mario Odyssey and Friends. The Mario Odyssey team. The team that made the 97 rated overall game. Which, by the way, to Donkey Kong's credit, is probably why this game looks incredible. Because this team's incredible. This team doesn't know how to make anything but bangers. If you go look at their history of their biggest releases, which are 3D Mario games, going all the way back to Mario Galaxy, it's banger after banger after banger. That's what they make. Now, they make smaller games in between, like Captain Toad, Bowser's Fury, stuff like that. But that's in between their big games. This team, again, devil's advocate here, has never made two big games simultaneously at the same time. They've never done it. Ever. What have they been doing the last 8 years? They made Bowser's Fury, then they made this. I'm not saying they're not working on 3D Mario. Yeah, they might have started last year. This game could have been done for a year. But they've never, ever had any big 3D anything. Their big games come out remotely close to each other. Unless they just went into making a sequel, Galaxy 2. That was like the one exception with Galaxy 2. So until the team proves that they can make two big games at the same time, we're kind of just assuming they can. One thing to remember about Nintendo's dev studios, what makes Nintendo stand out from the rest?
Quality. They're good games.
Great games with small teams.
Yeah.
Their teams aren't very big.
Yeah. And
Compared to the
innovation
rest of the
too.
industry. Yeah, the innovation, the quality, the creativity, the inventiveness, the art direction, the fun. They seem to they look, as the one article went out, to be reminded by former Nintendo employees again, bunch of geniuses over there. They almost make you feel inferior when you join because you feel like you can't live up to how brilliant all these creators are. Cool. 98.8% retention rate. People don't really leave Nintendo. Highly skilled, work together for decades. They don't need as big of teams. Nintendo, as people are starting to say today after all the Microsoft stuff, why does it feel like Nintendo's the only company to figure out how to survive in the modern AAA age? Because they're the only company that didn't overinflate their teams and overinflate their budgets. They just said, no, why do that? That doesn't make any sense. We can still make the same high quality games we were before with, 1/3, 1/4, 1/5 of the team that other studios use. To make a game like Tears of the Kingdom, which had like 300 people work on it, if you look at the credits, Mario Kart World had 300 people work on it, most ever for a Mario Kart game. Other studios to make those same kind of games would have been 1,000+ employees easy. Assassin's Creed Shadows had 3,000. 2 hours credits. 2 hour credits. 3,000 people to make Shadows. 900 to make Black Flag. I think Black Flag is the better game. But with a smaller team. So Nintendo's teams are not very large. So the argument here is, if the teams aren't very large, but yet they make bangers, and it took the full team to make Odyssey the banger it is, then it probably took the full team to make Donkey Kong Bonanza the banger it is. So they can't have developed Bonanza and 3D Mario at the same time because the team's just not big enough to do it. Just bring my boy up, devil's advocate over here. I'm the only one making this point. So if the team, based on my devil's advocate argument, is not big enough to actually make both at the same time, then how would it be possible for a 3D Mario game to be coming out next year? It would have to be that Bonanza's been done for 3 years. And I don't really feel like it's been done for 3. We were hearing about how what team was it that in Mario Kart World, the development thing. In 2020, the decision was made that the game was going to be a launch game for Switch 2. It was going to be made for Switch 2, everything shifted into Switch 2. They didn't have, in 2020, Switch 2 development kits. The Mario Kart team said this. We didn't have dev kits. They had target specs told to them, but they didn't have dev kits. They had a guess. Chances are they probably got dev kits in 2021, I'm assuming. Maybe 2020, definitely by 2022. So for Bonanza to be done 3 years ago would have been the same time dev kits were being handed out to Nintendo employees. There's no way DK Bananza was done 3 years ago. So they take 3 to 5 years to make 3D Mario. So the only way, if Bonanza wasn't done 3 years ago, because it probably wasn't, would be the team is suddenly 2 to 3 times the size it was in 2017. And that's just not Nintendo's style. Nintendo doesn't do that. That's not how Nintendo operates. That's why they're able to keep their budgets under control. They don't operate that way. Or the 3D Mario is made by a completely different team. And I just have a hard time believing that 3D Mario is made by anyone but the team that made 97 overall, 30 million selling Mario Odyssey. I just don't see Nintendo being like, hey, we just had our most successful 3D Mario ever. Let's hand it to a different team. That doesn't even make sense to me. So the general argument of Mario isn't coming out for another 2, 3, 4 years is that, well, they probably only started working on Mario last year. And it takes 3 to 5 years to make a Mario game. So the devil's advocate play is, hey, if Bonanza is as good as it is, do we all agree Bonanza looks amazing?
Sure.
Let's make early predictions. None of us have. I mean, some of us have touched it and played it. Maybe played the demo at the stores and stuff. But let's just make like a quick prediction. What do you think the aggregate review score on Metacritic is going to be for this game? Just a prediction. It don't matter if it's right or anything.
Say 94.
94. Okay.
Damn. Oh yeah. I like what you think.
95. That's the first thing that popped in my
95.
head.
Dash, what about you?
That was the first thing that popped for me too. 95.
95. Gamebird?
I'm gonna go a little bit lower. I'm gonna say 92.
Okay.
Yeah, 92. But I think it breaks 90.
30. That's Expedition 33. Aggregate scores is 92. Okay. So either way you slice it, that sounds like Game of the Year territory, right? Like,
sure.
Not that it's going to win it necessarily, but it's there. It's competing. Okay. So we're all thinking low to mid 90s. Me personally, I think the game looks better than Odyssey. Okay. I think it legitimately looks better than Odyssey. You might not agree, and that's fine. Odyssey we've played, right? We know how it is start to finish. This one we don't. But I think the potential looks like the inventiveness, the creativeness, all of it looks to me, and plus I'm kind of a sucker for musicals, so like the whole singing thing kind of has me like excited. So I think it's got the potential that it could be as good, if not better, than Odyssey. And Odyssey was a 97. I don't know if it's going to be a 97, but 95 plus I could see. Which, by the way, would be one of the highest rated Nintendo games in the last decade, besides Mario and Zelda. So, if that is the quality that we think this game is going to review at, a 92, 93, 94, 95, okay, well, Mario is expected to be even better. So how the fuck did they make 295 games at the same time? I know some people are arguing for clicks. I got the argument there. People talk about, oh, they're just doing this for clicks. They're trying to be negative. I don't think it's a negative to have a banger 3D platform in 2025 and a banger 3D platformer in 2028. I don't see how that's bad. That's called spreading out your big games. Nintendo needs bangers for the next 8 years. They don't need back-to-back years of big 3D platformers.
Here's the thing, though, is that obviously Donkey Kong Bonanza looks amazing, and I think it took this direct that we just got for us to really see that, to see what we're getting. But at the beginning of the drawing board, you have the Mario Odyssey team pitching ideas for their next Donkey Kong game. Do we think that like DK is big enough of a name and they're confident enough in the game that for our next console, we can make DK the next big platformer and we don't need to release a new 3D Mario game for 5 years into the console's life cycle? I don't know. I also don't, and I know you disagree, and you may very well be right on this. I don't think the Odyssey team has to make the next 3D Mario. Do I want them to? Yes, because they're a proven company who's kicked ass at this every single time. But we've also seen other companies dip their hands and get their feet wet in some big Nintendo IP. Whether it's Mario Kart, whether it's Zelda with like Monolith dipping their toes and helping design this big world. I have no doubt that if the Zelda team didn't include Monolith, they could have made a beautiful and incredible world without them. But I don't think they necessarily need that team. I think there's enough talent that Nintendo could be like, hey, we've got some rising stars at the company, and we have some teams that would make a phenomenal 3D Mario game. So I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility. Probably unlikely. That being said, I'm willing to bet that Donkey Kong has been finished for at least a year, maybe more. Do I think it's been done for 3 years? No, but I definitely think it started as a Switch 1 game. I really believe that. And I don't know. It's hard for me to think that Nintendo would want to keep 3D Mario so far away when you know that's a surefire hit. You know you have huge shoes to fill when it comes to Switch 2, needing to compete with its predecessor that's reached the homes of 150 million people. It's massive. You need those games. I don't think you wait till late in the life cycle to drop your next big 3D Mario. Me personally, I'm expecting to see the next big Mario within 12 months. And I would not be surprised if we saw it this year. So I'm not saying release this year. I'm saying seeing it in the big September Direct.
I'm on record many times saying that I expect to see it at the September Direct 40th anniversary, right? Obviously, guys, if you watch my channel, you know I'm on record that I think it's coming out next year. My personal opinion that it's coming out next year. Maybe there's some hopium and copium. I don't know. But now that we know, like the rumor when I thought all that was that, yeah, some of the Odyssey team worked on this, but it was kind of a new team at Nintendo. They formed it from what you said, like Monolith Soft and all these other companies coming together. The kind of thing that you would think for 3D Mario. But here's the thing. The idea of a different studio making 3D Mario other than EPD8 to me just seems no. Because you don't fuck with the top. You don't fuck with the king. It's their mascot. You leave it with the best. It's like having a different team make a 3D Zelda. It's not happening. The Zelda team's making the next 3D Zelda. Yeah, Monolith Soft's part of that, but they're part of everything. They're probably part of Donkey Kong. They were part of Odyssey. They're part of everything. Monolith Soft's kind of like their go-to helping company for all their IP.
But what if in the same way that Monolith helped the Zelda team, what if while Polish, obviously, what if as they got closer to wrapping up development on DK Bananza, they started pulling people off and putting them on the Mario project and bringing in another studio to help build the world or build the frameworks? I mean, it's possible. Nintendo's really experimenting with a lot of stuff. It's possible.
My number one argument is basically that, one, I think EPD8's the only company to lead 3D Mario. They're the only one that's ever done it. I don't think Nintendo's changing that after. Again, they just came off the best-selling 3D Mario of all time. But you don't fuck with a good thing. You go with the trusted one. Two, you made the argument, obviously, that do they really think Donkey Kong is big enough? What do you mean? Seth Rogen's Donkey Kong. Huge character now. What was their first expansion in the theme parks? Donkey Kong. What has Miyamoto kind of said in the past? We're pushing Donkey Kong. They're trying to bring Donkey Kong back in a big way. Gets overshadowed if Mario's out next year. I kind of feel like this would be like if they had two Zelda games, two big 3D Zelda games, but one of them is starring Zelda and one is starring Link. They're not going to have those in back-to-back years. That doesn't make any sense. You're going to split those games up through the generation. So think about this. You have two potential 95 plus 3D platformers. They're the only ones we're getting this generation, by the way. Nintendo's not busting out another one. There'll be a
3D platformers. There's going to be a 2D Mario this generation, whether it's a Maker or the follow-up to
Mario. There's going to be a 3D Kirby game, probably because Forgotten Land was great. And the 3D platform, but they seem to be going with the isometric style. In the way that Mario is made, there's only going to, I think, be two this generation. You're going to get the 3D Mario and you're going to get Donkey Kong. Say you're planning for an 8-year generation. Why wouldn't you spread that out? Why would you have that be back-to-back years? Because you need a big seller next year? Well, what if that big seller is Animal Crossing? Generation 10 Pokemon? What if it's Ocarina of Time Remake? There's other ways they could sell. And we sit there and we shake our heads. Is Switch 2 not the fastest selling system ever made and Mario's not even announced? What are we doing?
That's true.
Right, but
system ever.
I just don't see a world where Mario Kart doesn't drop by holiday of next year.
Imagine a world where Switch continues to sell the way it is, Switch 2 continues to sell the way it is, and you get to those middle years. Those are the years where things start to kind of downturn, right? But that's when Zelda, Smash, and Mario come out. What do you think happens? What the fuck do you think happens if that's the middle of the generation is when those three IPs come out? You think it continues the downturn, or do you think it upswings again?
Right, but we need to continue that big momentum to get there. Obviously, Mario Kart's a huge deal. I think we need the Mario. I understand, because listen, man, when we got Kirby Air Riders in that Switch 2 Direct, I was like, what the heck? We're getting Mario Kart at launch. Like,
that's why they're Air Riders.
Right. So I understand that sentiment, but I personally I think Mario by next holiday next year, it just makes sense to me. And then I think the year after that, Smash.
I have one more question. I asked obviously about the review scores. Let's project lifetime sales. How well do you think Donkey Kong's going to sell?
That's hard.
Wait, how well did Tropical Freeze sell? I need to look at previous sales.
Tropical Freeze?
Yeah, and returns. I'd like to know before I make a guess.
Let's go lifetime sales here. Obviously, it's going to depend on our platform. So Tropical Freeze sold 4 million on Switch and 2 million on Wii U.
So 6 million.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think at least 6. Maybe
so
7 or 8.
I'm gonna say between 12 and 6. I'll just say 13. I'm not gonna say between 12 and 17. 13 million.
Okay.
I'll go 10.
17.
Eric?
Oh wow.
I was in the 15 ballpark.
In the 15 ballpark. So I'm anywhere between 15 to 20.
That's kind
of could be more than 20. Because the one thing I don't know is how evergreen it's going to be. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's going to. But here's if 3D Mario is next year, it won't be evergreen. But if it's not, it will be. Because I think a game that scores 95 plus from Nintendo always sells continuously for years, especially at the beginning of a generation. Because it's going to be one of those when you buy a Switch 2 and it comes with Mario Kart, what's the next game you buy? Donkey Kong.
Yeah. Tell that to the Metroid franchise.
Well, what about the Metroid franchise?
They missed the memo. No, I know, but it would be nice to see those games. I agree with you. They do sell well.
Heading in the Switch, not knowing what we know today. Heading in the Switch, how many copies of Breath of the Wild do you think was going to sell? Franchise has never sold more than 8 million. How much did we realistically think Breath of the Wild was going to sell before we knew what Switch and what Breath of the Wild was going to be? Maybe the first
based on what we were saying, I thought it could be the best selling game
but it only had to hit 9 million for that.
Yeah.
So I think Nintendo views what they're doing to Donkey Kong as what they did to Zelda. Yeah, Zelda's never been more than an 8 million seller, but you know what? We think we're going to crack 10 for the first time. And then it obviously way overshot whatever their expectations were, right? So 30 million, 40 million. I don't even know how many copies that now. It's wild how much Zelda sold.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I will be celebrating if DK does 15 plus.
I'm only going to celebrate if I love the game. Obviously, I got to love it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if it's 15 plus, we're getting another 3D DKs here to stay every gen. It's going to be great.
Speaking of that, I wonder if part of this, if they didn't have the full team working on it, they had just pulled part of the team and then brought in some other devs. I wonder if this is a training period for a spin-off dev team that focuses solely on 3D Donkey Kong.
I also have a devil's advocate.
That's interesting.
Well. People talk about this game potentially being a prequel for New Donk City and Mario Odyssey. Okay, fine. Have that theory. Have that theory. I think we're going all wrong about this. This is a prequel to the next 3D Mario game.
Mm-hmm.
It has a surprise ending at the end that brings Pauline and Mario and stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
For what? Because remember, she keeps saying she has this dream. What's the fuck's the dream? Mm-hmm. And why?
Okay, now I'm gonna
all exist in the same universe. Why is Mario not down here saving the day? Why does it have to be DK? I think there's a reason for that, and it could be setting up the next 3D game, which is a Mario game. And this is instead of Nintendo saying we're releasing 2 3D Mario games in the same generation. No, actually, DK that leads to Mario. But Mario can't be next year if that's the case. You got to have space between the games. Mm-hmm. That would also drive the hype higher if Mario does appear in the game. That'll be a huge thing shared all over socials.
I mean, I think that's a very cool concept. I'm gonna play devil's advocate and say I don't think so. I don't think the next 3D Mario is gonna be the sequel to DK
It's funny. You
Bonanza.
can't play devil's advocate to the devil's advocate. Nobody agrees with me, Gamebird. I'm the devil's advocate.
Okay, here's what I'm gonna say. Your argument was very convincing, and I'm kind of leaning more in that direction now that like we've thought it all the way out and like all the facts have been put out there. And I also think what really sold me on it was spacing out the games of like you have DK now and then you do 3D Mario and all that later. Because I also think because everyone points like, well, we got Odyssey first year of Switch, we got Breath of the Wild first year of Switch. That's great. I feel like we had all those games because they needed to really sell the Switch. And like they needed to kind of front load everything to get people in the door. But now that they've sold the concept of the Switch and Switch 2 is now the fastest selling console of all time, we don't have to front load everything.
Yeah.
We kind of like, if I was Nintendo, I would be a little more concerned about those middle years of like year 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, think about the middle years of Switch. There were some years that it was a little lacking for parts of the year, but COVID
and Animal Crossing, like that's
most years. Animal Crossing isn't going to be able to carry a whole year.
I'm a little concerned about the next Animal Crossing. I don't know if it'll reach the next level, but I do think they don't have to front load with Mario now. My only other like holdup is if they don't have a new 3D Mario next year, what is like their big thing for the anniversary? Like what's their big like Switch 2 exclusive?
Mario Maker 3, I think.
Yeah.
I
think
Mario
like
Maker
a
3.
super big deal though?
No, but Nintendo doesn't need to do like it's the anniversary, so here's the next massive Mario game. I mean, I think that's a huge win for everyone, but I don't think they need to. Excuse me. I think they could do Mario 40 on NSO, where they bring that game concept back, add some new bells and whistles to it, show off Mario Maker 3. Guess what? The Switch version was inferior to the Wii U because it didn't have the touch controls. But guess what? We got mouse mode now, and now you're going to be able to use your Joy-Con like a mouse and really build out your levels and get creative. And guess what? We're dropping some wonder seeds in level design, so you can have that weird acid trip effects in there. Okay, Primal.
Take your brevity because we have a couple more topics to get to. I'm going to say this. When you mentioned Mario Maker, the first thing that came to my mind when you said Mario Maker 3 was Mario Maker 3D. That's what drives the hype.
Oh, yeah, that would kill it.
Yeah, that would kill it for the anniversary. Absolutely.
It's great on PC.
Yeah, there is the one on PC. Awesome. Nintendo would have to make it better, which I'm assuming they would. So, because imagine you can make your own, not just Mario 64 levels, your own Mario Odyssey levels, your own Mario Galaxy levels. Like that, like everyone's screaming for Mario Galaxy 2. Make your own. That
would definitely fill the gap until a 3D Mario, like
that would be
years from now. I see the vision.
That being said, I'm done with this topic. Obviously, you can continue to do the other people because we have 2 more topics we gotta get to.
Did anyone want to add anything to this? Any final thoughts?
Is anybody getting the amiibo?
Yeah.
Because I'm like on the fence about the amiibo, but it's also $30.
It's pre-ordered.
Like,
I'm on the fence.
Is done.
Yeah, I'm on the fence. I got the feeling launch day is going to come. I'm going to go pick up a physical copy, and there'll be one on the shelf, and I'll be like, "Fuck, fine."
It's really cool looking.
If it's $30, does that mean it's bigger, like the Street Fighter ones, or is it the same size? Because that feels like a weird price jump.
Well, there are 2 characters on it.
I got all the Zelda ones back there for launch of Switch 2. They were all $30. I mean, they're not bigger.
If you look at it, you're getting 2 characters. It's like $15 each.
It was.
I will say though, my first and only $30 amiibo was at the launch of the OG Switch. It's the Guardian from Breath of the Wild, and it's got the what do you call it? The
bendy legs.
Yeah, bendy legs and stuff, so you can pose it and position it. Really cool. I think $30 is a little pricey for the new amiibos.
Yeah,
considering what I can do with that one, and it looks sick. Like the detail on the Guardian is rad. I don't know if anyone else has it.
I
or
do.
remembers it.
Holding up my Switch games on my shelf over there.
Yeah,
it is sick.
Yeah, it is a sick amiibo.
So anyone else have anything
cool.
to add to this topic?
Nothing to add. Mario, we
Not
will
today.
see you soon. We miss you.
Not today. I got more in the tank though for a future episode.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We'll definitely more. Obviously, guys, we started this episode late trying to push her along here, so we're not up till like 2 a.m.